Hello, students. Often it happens that people are confused about the term breathing and respiration. So, in this video, we will discuss that what is the basic difference between breathing and respiration. So, after watching this video, your whole confusion will be sorted out. Now, next is breathing. Now, after discussing about respiration, a question may come in your mind that if we are talking about respiration, it is the process in which energy is synthesized and it is intake of oxygen and release of carbon dioxide, then what is breathing? We often think that breathing is also what? Intake of oxygen and release of carbon dioxide. Then what is the difference between respiration and breathing? Actually, what happens? Breathing is a mechanical process of bringing in of fresh air for obtaining oxygen and taking out of full air for elimination of carbon dioxide. It means that breathing is a mechanical process. As we discussed, respiration is a chemical process where certain chemical reactions are going on, whereas breathing is mechanical process in which fresh air is taken inside, out of which oxygen is utilized, and the remaining one along with carbon dioxide is released back into the atmosphere. It means a process of just intake of oxygen and release of carbon dioxide is breathing, but it is not respiration. Why? Because respiration is a process in which after intake of oxygen and after oxidation energy is produced. So that is the difference between breathing and respiration. So let's discuss what are the differences between breathing and respiration. See, breathing, it is exchange of gases at organ level. Exchange of gases at organ level means that only there is exchange of gases, and that too at organ level means exchange between organs only. But in case of respiration, it is at cellular level. How we can say that at cellular level? You know that energy is produced in our cell in a very special organelle, that is mitochondria. So it means that when there is an exchange at cellular level, then only it can reach to mitochondria. Then breathing, it is extracellular process. Extracellular process means that is occurring outside the cells. There is no interference of cell. Whereas respiration is intracellular, means there is in some cells are also included in respiration process, where we can say that this process is occurring within the cells. Then breathing, it consumes energy. We know that when we inhale and when we exhale, that time energy is consumed, but respiration, it releases energy. We have already discussed it. Then no enzymes are involved in case of breathing, whereas respiration, it because it is chemical process, so there is some involvement of enzymes also. Then we can say that breathing is a mechanical process. Mechanical process, we can say that because it is exchange of gases at organ level only, that is why it is mechanical process, whereas respiration is a chemical process. So, mechanism of breathing. Here we will discuss how breathing process occurs, or we can say that what are all those changes in our thoracic cavity during breathing process or inhaling and exhaling. See, this diagram shows the change in pressure during inhalation and exhalation. You can see this is the portion showing lungs. When the air is inhaled, means when air is moving from our nostrils towards our thoracic chamber. See, this is the movement of air. What happens? You know that when the air moves along this direction, there is a need of increase in volume of this chamber, because then only air can be inflated. Now see what happens. This ribs, which are outer surrounding coverings of lungs, these ribs move outwards and upwards in this direction to increase the area. Then intercostal muscles are the muscles outside the lungs. So these intercostal muscles, they contract, and you know that diaphragm, it is a dome shaped organ. Dome shaped organ means this shape, dome. So this dome shaped organ moves in downward direction to become flat, so that this volume will be acquired by the lungs. So in this way, diaphragm contracts and flattens out. So inside volume of lungs, it is increased, and pressure it decreases, so that air can be breathed easily inside. Now, what happens in the condition of exhalation? See, the air is moving from this direction to outward direction, because carbon dioxide is that gas here that is moving from this direction to this direction. Again, ribs will acquire their original position, that is, ribs move downward and inward. Then intercostal muscles, which were earlier contracted, now they become relaxed. And the diaphragm, it also relaxes, because to increase the area, or to increase that volume which was acquired by the lungs, the diaphragm, it was dome shaped initially, but it became flattened. Now this diaphragm, it will again come in dome shaped position, so it will move from downward to upward direction again, and as a result the volume of lungs decreases and pressure again it is increased. So this is the mechanism of breathing. Now you can see inhalation. What happens in inhalation, that we have discussed right now. See, this thoracic cavity, it expands, and ribs lift upwards and outwards, and lungs increase in size, and diaphragm becomes flat in shape, that we have discussed right now. Now in case of exhalation, we have thoracic cavity contracts, ribs move downwards and inwards, and the volume of lungs decreases, and diaphragm become dome shaped again in its original shape. Now see, exchange of gases in alveoli. As we have already discussed that alveoli are the site for exchange of gases. So this is the portion showing where exchange of gases occurs. Now see, as soon as air reaches to this alveolar sac, I have already explained you that air ultimately reaches to the alveolar sac, that is inhaled air. Now you know that this air is having more oxygen, whereas these are capillaries. Okay, so these capillaries are just for exchanging the substances from blood and body tissues. So what happens in that condition? Carbon dioxide is more and oxygen is more here. So you know that substances move from more concentration to the less concentration, that is higher concentration to low concentration, by diffusion process. So oxygen is more here. You can see oxygen molecules are here and carbon dioxide molecules are more here. So what happens? Oxygen moves towards this direction, that is from alveolar region to blood vessels, and carbon dioxide moves from blood vessels to alveolar region. So this is the exchange of gases due to osmotic gradient or difference in concentration. So in this way, the air which reaches to the alveolar sac has more oxygen. So oxygen moves towards this region and carbon dioxide towards this region, and then it is again inhaled through our nostrils. So see what happens. This portion, earlier it was having deoxygenated blood. Now after getting oxygen, this blood becomes oxygenated, which further reaches to the heart portion. Now see, this is the exchange process. Now we can discuss it in the form of a flow chart. See, air rich in oxygen, it moves towards the blood. Then what happens? We know that in blood there is a respiratory pigment, that is hemoglobin. Hemoglobin that is present in our RBCs. So oxygen, it is added to the hemoglobin, and this hemoglobin forms oxyhemoglobin. So what happens? This, we can say that hemoglobin is a carrier for oxygen. It carries the oxygen, and when this O2 is absorbed by the cells, because blood, it moves towards the body tissues and then it moves towards the different parts of the body, so it moves to different tissues, and here exchange occurs. So what happens? O2, it is absorbed by the cells and CO2 is given back to the blood. That also we discussed earlier, that again the blood which comes from cells, it is deoxygenated blood. So in this way oxygen is absorbed by the cells to produce energy, that we have discussed, that respiration process, and CO2 is given back to the blood. Now again blood is deoxygenated, CO2 is dissolved in the blood, and ultimately it moves towards the blood vessels. Then blood having, in the blood vessels, it is having more carbon dioxide, and then it moves towards the alveoli, and then carbon dioxide is sent back through the nostrils into atmosphere.